significance of hosting that event in Hidalgo, and particularly at the Hidalgo Pump House, which is such a historic landmark in the history of the communities that live along the Rio Grande River.
Yes, of course. Thank you, everybody. And hello, everybody. First of all, as a city commissioner, I was very delighted that UTRGV and the Texas Commission of the Arts look at Hidalgo as a point of encounter for these two cultures across the river. Second of all, as a fine arts educator that witnesses the presence of artists dancing on the by the river, it was very, very, very impactful because it gives validation to what is already going on in our everyday lives for those who live close to Reynosa. As a city commissioner of Hidalgo, I see my constituents coming and going across the river every day for family or for business. It's not a surprise to me that someone can have lunch in Hidalgo and then dinner in Reynosa, or the other way around. But when UTRGV went there, when the Texas Commission of the Arts went there, when Dr. Garza, of course, she went there with all the elected officials, the business owners, and they have an ambigu lunch in Hidalgo, and then we all have dinner in Reynosa. And people was surprised by it, like, oh my God, this is amazing. We can actually do both things and then go back to Texas and sleep in Texas. And I was like, yeah, exactly. That's what we do every day, some of us, right? So it's very important. And it took me back to 2010 when I was a student at this university when it was UTPA. Because as a theater student, we got admitted into a theater festival in Matamoros, a children's theater festival in Matamoros, to participate, to take a children's play over there. But the American consulate had issued a warning about tourism and traveling to Tamaulipas. So we as UTRGV students couldn't go to the festival because UTRGV wasn't, given permission, which is completely okay, I understand that. But nonetheless, some of us lived there. So it's kind of like ironic, we couldn't go as students, but we still go as, citizens, right? So these kind of movements, just going back to that event, this kind of movements really took me back into this 10-year trip that I have committed to grow consciousness through fine arts. And I saw TCA there, Texas Commission of the Arts, and I saw UTRGV there, and I saw the potential partnerships that the City of Hidalgo and the City of Reynosa have in them. And I'm like, oh my God, after 10 years, this is finally happening where we are demystifying the barriers. We're putting down those fears. We're tearing down those fears because for the past 10 years, life goes on. We have been commuting and living and celebrating and dancing and eating in both sides of the river. But when the government comes and when a university like UTRGV comes, it definitely gives a different feeling to it. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for those words. And I think there's a cultural corridor that we're looking at, but there's also an economic corridor that's developed through the arts, and whether that's through ecotourism or through creating safe spaces. Can you speak to both of you a little bit to that question, please?
Well, I think what people need to remember is that cultural tourism is the arts. You don't go as a tourist anywhere on the planet without going because of cultural arts. You're going to Italy because you want to see the Roman ruins. You want their culinary art with their incredible food, their visual art with their museums and their history. And it's true in every single community. And that is what supports the local economy of any community. So the arts being used as a bridge to gap economic problems, political problems, human problems. It's just a natural fit, and it's been done since the dawn of time. I think sometimes we separate things and we forget what brings you to where you travel, what supports you where you live. We forget that, and in forgetting it, we can sometimes stop funding the very things that we need and stop appreciating for the real value the very things that we need to make our own communities viable.
I remember the City of Reynosa, Mayor Carlos Peña, they put a very, very, very good and strategic event. Everything was premeditated for us. From the place we park, the streets we walk, When we went to the big plaza, there was musicians playing live, and it wasn't like a closed event for us. It was a community event. Everyone was there, families, children, grandparents. They were dancing and eating alongside with us, and it was very premeditated. The main event was this historical building that used to be in ruins, and they built it up again. They revamped it, and it's a building from I think it's 1700s. So I see the effort of the city of Reynosa, and I see the effort of the government of Tamaulipas to showcase their culture, to showcase their food, their art, which is ours in a way too, right? I'm from both sides of the border. And that was very nice to see how the government now is paying more attention on celebrating who we are as a culture and as a race, and having that being the vehicle that is really gonna help us overcome all the problems that we have in the past, especially violence or insecurity. Definitely where you find a place with art and beautiful murals and music and food, it's very hard for bad things to happen. When people commute, it's more easy for people to celebrate, share, dialogue, and love.
And I think if you have a chance to travel to Reynosa, since you're right there, you will see what Mayor Pena has done. He got an artist with mosaics. They are all over the city. I told him at the time when he was telling us that he was thinking about doing that that's impossible. Mosaics are usually very small because of the cost and even finding somebody that can do them. They're everywhere in Reynosa right now. And the city murals done by artists all over the country of Mexico, it's really worth your time to go across and see what they've done.